Hello, welcome back to Mountain Gym Card Collectibles. I hope you're having a great week so far. Hope you had a great Easter weekend, found all your Easter eggs, had a great time, great dinners, great meals. Anyway, today I want to talk about something that's been on my mind, since April 1st. And what is that? Well, I had a dental appointment on April 1st, and I kind of had a slight toothache here and there prior to that dental appointment. But on March 31st, just a day before the appointment, I'm eating a cheeseburger. And this tooth that, kind of had slight toothaches, nothing really major, just cracked tooth, just snapped when I was biting down. Just almost like blew up. So this is a day before my April 1st dental appointment where I was going to have it checked out at. So instead of going to the April 1st dental appointment, I had to find a dental surgeon and get the tooth pulled. We were hoping we could save it, but we couldn't save it, so I lost a tooth. And I'm still dealing with the ramifications of it. It's not fun. Anyway, that takes me to what I want to talk about today. Irony. And, my story could have gone in Alanis Morissette's 1995 song, Ironic. No questions asked. We could just throw that in there, Whether it be a 98-year-old man buying a lottery ticket and dying the next day, you get the idea. But when it comes to sports cards, there is no shortage of irony. And, we can even get into another kind of take, the Amityville Horror. High hope sign. Yes, high hopes. People had a lot of high hopes when they moved into the Amityville Horror house. And we know how that ended up. At least for the very first movie and the very first story. A lot of high hopes. Only to have them get torpedoed and end up in tragedy. Yes, the Amityville Horror. And we could call it, the sports card horror as well. Anyway, that takes me to Paul Skeens. And the Paul Skeens rookie card chase, yeah, he's Rookie of the Year. It makes sense to have, such a idolized player become, the big name rookie of 2024, likely the biggest chase of 2024 when you look at all the players, whether it was basketball, hockey, football, and then we look at baseball, he was likely the biggest chase. Yeah, you had Victor Wembanyama, of course, arguably, his cards are going for more. But overall, it just seemed like the world was chasing Paul Skeens cards. Here we can see some very recent sales. This is April 21st, 2025. Someone bought a Paul Skeens auto for $420. They sold just a digital bunt card, April 20th for $10. Here's a nice 2024 Topps Triple Threads rookie relic auto out of 99, Paul Skeens, player worn, $381, 22 bids on that card. I always like Triple Threads. And then we have this 33 bids on this one, $680. That was sold on April 20th. And another one that's sold on April 20th for $858. And you can just, go down here and there are all sorts of big, dollar sales for Paul Skeens autos at this point. And, maybe Paul Skeens, he's kind of cursed by playing with the Pirates. And that's just it. And that's really the irony of the Paul Skeens card, isn't it? And then we have to look at, like this article. They just recently had a Paul Skeens bobblehead day. Everyone is celebrating Paul Skeens at Pittsburgh. Paul Skeens drops devastating line after Pirates 3-0 loss on his bobblehead day. And this is from Sports Illustrated. This is just 21 hours ago, written by Bridget Kennedy. Let's just read the first graph. The Pittsburgh Pirates front office had itself a rare W on Saturday when it announced that every fan in attendance for the team's game versus the Cleveland Guardians, rather than just the first 20,000, would receive a highly coveted Paul Skeens bobblehead. An audible called after droves and droves of spectators descend upon PNC Park. But unfortunately, it wasn't the kind of W that matters. The Pirates were shut out 3-0 in the second game of their three-game series versus Cleveland, the first of which they lost 10-7. For Skeens, one of the few bright spots for long-suffering Pittsburgh fans, even the honor of the well-attended bobblehead day didn't seem enough to ease the pain of another loss. Asked after the fact what it meant to him that so many people were there for him, Skeens barely cracked a smile. Rather, he briefly acknowledged his flattery before lamenting how he wasn't able to bring home the win for everyone who showed up. I mean, it's cool. Wish we would have gotten them a win, he said. Watch that devastating reaction below. And he just looks upset, almost tears in his eyes, Surely the brevity is not to say the pitcher wasn't touched by the turnout. If anything, he was probably just frustrated by the defeat. He didn't seem too keen on himself in bobblehead form either, but to be honest, that's also very Skeens. He's a stoic guy, okay? So this is the biggest chase. And people are still spending lots of money, and I would say he's the biggest chase at this point, April 2025. We saw people are spending a lot of money on his autos, day in and day out, So he's arguably the biggest chase. But then we get into the record of the Pittsburgh Pirates. And this is really where the irony, falls in. It's kind of like me, cracking a tooth the day before the dentist appointment, and losing it. So when you look at the record, here I am looking at the National League. And, the National League East, the very bottom is the Braves. National League Central is the Pirates at 8-15. The Rockies are 4-17 for the National League West. So they're not the very bottom, but that's not doing very good. So when we look at the American League, we have the Rays, American League East, 9-13, White Sox, 5-16, Athletics, 10-12. These are just the bottom, teams for the respective divisions. But then we hit the National League. The Rockies, I mean, boy, they are just stinking up the place, aren't they? 4-17. But let's be honest here. The Pirates aren't doing much better at 8-15, And then you got the Braves, National League East with 8-13. But the thing about the Rockies is there wasn't any big players that they're hyping up on the Rockies the last few years. There just isn't, But the Pirates, Paul Skeens, so there's a lot of irony there. All right. And then we can look at this chart. And let's just look at the top 5 pitchers for 2025. The top 5 pitchers, we have Mackenzie Gore with Washington Nationals, Cole Reagans with Kansas City, Logan Gilbert with Seattle, Zach Wheeler with Philadelphia, and Logan Webb with San Francisco Giants. Let's be honest here. A lot of these guys don't get a lot of love, I mean, Logan Webb, he's a great pitcher, but people don't chase his cards. They're not really. I've had Logan Webb cards. I mean, you might sell them, but they don't sell for much, So let's keep going down here, We see Hunter Green, number 9. It's tied with Garrett Crotchet. So we keep going down here. And we have a few pitchers tied for number 19. Now, I have the Shane Baz rookie card. He's with the Tampa Bay Rays. No one seems to be interested in Shane Baz. Dylan Cease with San Diego Padres. He's tied for 19. Max Fried with the Yankees. He's tied for 19th. And Paul Skeens, once again, is tied for 19th. But he has the worst record for being tied at 19th with 2-2. Yeah, he's not with the greatest team, the Pittsburgh Pirates. We know that they are at the bottom of the bracket. So it's hard to escape the irony when it comes to the Paul Skeens cards at this moment in time. Now, maybe he'll be like Shohei Ohtani and eventually move to a better team and get, that World Series ring. For all the hype that's surrounding Paul Skeens, for all the rookie card sales, all this and that. But let's face it, he's 19th rated for pitchers in the MLB. He is in the lowest rated team for his division. And overall, when you look at lowest rated teams, he's not a very great low rated team. He's not, a lot of wins there. So, anyway, let's keep moving on. Okay, now the next ironic player for sports cards would have to be the big rookie card chase for baseball cards in 2022. And possibly the biggest chase of 2022 would be Julio Rodriguez. I watched so many breakers chasing Julio Rodriguez cards in 2022. I mean, they just went around and around and around. More Julio, more Julio, more Julio. All right? And really, the Julio Rodriguez chase was a nod to, Ken Griffey Jr., Ken Griffey Sr. I really felt that. Now, will there be a Julio Rodriguez Sr., Julio Rodriguez Jr. chase with the Seattle Mariners? Who knows? Maybe that's very possible. But the way that the sports card industry, the big sports card gurus on YouTube, the breakers, the big channels, this was the biggest chase. I mean, I was chasing Julio Rodriguez cards. I still have Julio Rodriguez rookie cards that, for one reason, really aren't moving. Anyway. So when you get into like his stats, for 2025, he's had 85 at-bats, 17 runs, 16 hits, 3 home runs, 8 RBIs, 5 stolen bases for a 188 average, a 310 OBP, and a 675 OPS. That's not bad, to be quite honest. Could be a lot worse. But he is still a big chase. You can't say he's not. But, when you get into the nuts and bolts of the situation, here I am looking at some of his recent sales for his cards. And this one sold on April 20th, 2025 for $67.66. Yeah, it's not graded. 14 bids, though. 14 bids. That's what you like to see. Here's a 2022 Topps Heritage number 700, Julio Rodriguez auto with blue ink. Sold for $68.67. 19 bids. Another one, $124.50. $285. This is 2022 Topps Gold Label framed, $400, which I really like those Topps Gold Label framed cards. I really do. He's still a pretty decent chase up to this point. You can't say he's not, when you look at it. So, and, fairly recent sales, can't say he's been completely forgotten about. But then we look at Cal Raleigh cards. And Cal Raleigh came out same year, 2022, same team, 2022. And, these aren't his autos, but here you can see, someone's trying to sell, that's a fairly nice card for $1. Here's one, for $18.59. That's way high price. I have that same card. I'm trying to sell it for like $5. Nobody's buying it, I have numerous Cal Raleigh rookie cards as well. They don't really move for one reason or another. But, they're both, players with the Mariners. And these are your top hitters for 2025, okay? top hitters for 2025. These are the stats. Who's at the top of the list? Cal Raleigh. 22 games, 86 at-bats, 14 runs, 20 hits, 4 second bases, doubles, 0 triples, 9 home runs, And he's doing better than Aaron Judge. He's ahead of Fernando Tatis. Mike Trout, Mike Trout's up there with 8 home runs, tied for third. Corbin Carroll's, 7 home runs, tied for fifth with, a few other people like Tommy Edman, Aaron Judge, Kyle Schwarber, Spencer Torkelson, James Wood. James Wood is up there, for rookies. Unfortunately, he's with the Washington Nationals. Okay, so let's just keep going down here. Jazz Chisholm is up on the boards. But guess what? No Julio Rodriguez, the biggest chase card of 2022. What's going on here? You have to see the irony of Cal Raleigh, who has more or less been swept under the rug for the class of 2022. Here he is with 9 home runs. A fairly good stat record. Can't say he doesn't have he has a great stat record. So let's get back into some of these Cal Raleigh auto cards in comparison, And this is the thing about sports cards is there's a lot of irony. All right, so these are sold sales. Would I recommend chasing down a Cal Raleigh rookie auto? I might recommend it. Let's face it, he's a great hitter. And for one reason, everyone likes to sweep him under the rug. I don't get it. I've always been a big Seattle Mariners fan. They're the only team I've ever seen play live. For Major League Baseball. I went to Seattle. My brothers, my oldest brother, would have season tickets or tickets, and I got to see the Mariners play, The Mariners are my favorite team. But just looking at these numbers, this was $50 sold on April 21st, 2025. That's a rookie card, $50. Sold April 21st, $119.99 on this one, $27.99 on this one. That one they didn't pay for, obviously. $80, $75, $169.99. There just isn't the interest for Cal Raleigh, even though he is as great of a player as he is. He is, the top hitter for the entire MLB. I have numerous rookie cards for Cal Raleigh, and nobody cares about. Why? Are people even looking at the stats anymore? That's just it. And so, once again, the Alanis Morissette ironic song could have Cal Raleigh and Julio Rodriguez in there as well. You have me in the Alanis Morissette song, busting my tooth the day before my dental appointment. We have Paul Skeens in there as well, and the Pirates, We have Julio Rodriguez and Cal Raleigh, both play with the same teams, so much more love for Julio Rodriguez, who isn't, even in the top 20 for, hitters. And then you have literally Cal Raleigh, who's the best hitter in the league. It's hard to escape the irony here. Anyway, let's move on to the final ironic sports card. And I'm just hitting ironic sports cards for the last 5 years. Pretty much, because there's so many out there. Okay, so as far as irony and sports cards goes, for the last 5 years, I saved the best for last. And that would have to be the big center for the San Antonio Spurs, Victor Wembanyama. Wemby. I mean, Topps, the whole market has made him out to be like the next Michael Jordan. Okay? I mean, the 2023 to 2024 chase for Victor Wembanyama cards was crazy to say the least. And what gets me is people are still paying mass money for his cards at this point. And for all the hype, for everything that went into, Wemby entering the NBA, all we have is a player, unfortunately, that has been injured and can no longer play at this point in time. Now, just read what the Google AI overview says. Victor Wembanyama was diagnosed with a deep vein thrombosis blood clot in his right shoulder on February 20th, 2025. This diagnosis came after he returned from the All-Star game where he was experiencing discomfort. As a result, Wembanyama was sidelined for the remainder of the 2024-2025 NBA season. But the thing about that injury is it follows a string of injuries. November 16, 2024, knee injury. December 4th, 2024, back injury. February 1st, 2025, he had an illness. February 19th, 2025, he had this, this shoulder blood clot, this deep vein thrombosis, okay? He's arguably the best player in the NBA according to the sports card market, okay, for, new rookie players. You can't argue that. With all the interest in Wemby, I mean, the world just can't get enough of him, and neither can collectors. But you have to see the irony in putting all of this, these high hopes in Wemby at this point for the fact that, we don't really know what's going to happen, with him. People are hopeful that he's going to, come back strong. But is he? That's just it. So this article, Basket News, this is just fairly recent. This is from April 18th, 2025. Victor Wembanyama, conflicting reports on surgery for blood clot. It says here, Victor Wembanyama is recovering from deep vein thrombosis in his right shoulder with conflicting insider reports about whether he underwent surgery. Okay, so they're not sure if he underwent surgery or not at this point in time. Wembanyama is also questionable for the upcoming FIBA Eurobasket 2025. As he said, I don't know if it's realistic. There are a lot of uncertainties. Okay? This past NBA regular season, Wembanyama led the league in blocked shots. For a while, he did, before he was injured. Okay? So, a lot of conflicting news on what's going on with Wemby. Did he have the surgery? Did he? Maybe he didn't have the surgery. But let's see what it says here. Victor Wembanyama had surgery to get rid of the blood clot. Then this is Michael C. Wright. He's not telling us that. We definitely point blank asked him during the end of the season interviews, and he wouldn't say whether or not he has surgery. Brian Windhorst. Well, I'll leave that one alone for now, but I thought he had surgery to fix the rib or something. But okay, I'm not going to step in anything that I can't step out of, so I'll just leave it alone with that. So that's just it, is what is going on here? And then we come to stats, and he was the leader, and he's not anywhere on the stat board. Offensive leader. Guess who is the offensive leader? Luka Doncic, LA Lakers. I mean, he's a great player. He's doing the best he can with the Lakers. Rebounds, Jason Tatum. Assists, Nikola Jokic. I'm just naming the top player. Blocks, Miles Turner. This is where Wemby should be for the top of the list, but now it's Miles Turner. And guess who's below him? LeBron James, 40 years old. 40 years old, man. 3-pointers made, Derek White. I have his rookie cards. No one cares about his cards. I don't know why. Steals, Jimmy Butler III. So I just, named, the top leaders at this point. Okay. NBA playoffs. If you're into the NBA playoffs, I'm sure you have a great idea of, this list. Why am I pulling up this list? because the San Antonio Spurs ended up with a 34-48 record. They didn't make it to the playoffs. Just pointing that out as well. I mean, you have to see the irony here, you know. Who's topped the Western Conference? OKC Thunder. Putting that out there. Who's topped the Eastern Conference? Cleveland Cavs. All right. So we're seeing it. Yeah, he was injured. We can't expect the Spurs to do much without Wemby, obviously. But then the thing about it is the sales. And this is really the most ironic part of this card at this point in time, is the fact that people are still buying into his card like he's never even been injured. For instance, this was just sold on April 20th, 2025. This is a PSA 9 Victor Wembanyama 2023-2024 Topps Mercury RPA, which you had to spend a lot of money to get into this card. Someone bought for $1,157. Here's another one that sold for $1,113 on April 20th. Here's this is a rookie gold prism. Chloride Topps Chrome. That's sold for April 20th, 2025 for $1,999.99. I mean, here we see 2023-2024 Topps Midnight Gold on Card Auto, $1,195.95. And, you know, these are some big prices. I can't say that they're not. $1,653 on this one, PSA 10. It's almost like the market doesn't even perceive the fact that his team didn't even make it to the playoffs. He's been injured. We don't even know if he's, you know, had the surgery. It's arguable. All the hype, you know, from Topps with Topps Mercury, the constant, you know, hype machine from Topps because, you know, they had him sign exclusively with Topps. Topps Midnight, whatever. And he's been injured so many times, you know, I mean, constantly getting injured. It's hard to not see the irony in this card, isn't it? I mean, the prices, it's just like the market's blind to what's happened to him. Will he even be back next season for the 2025-2026 season? I mean, that's just it. If his deep vein thrombosis hasn't healed up, likely you're not going to see him. And I know that a lot of people want to cross their fingers and go, oh, he's coming back. Invest, buy these cards. But eventually you have to step back and go, what are you doing? So surely you would have to add Victor Wembanyama to the Alanis Morissette song. Ironic. I mean, it's just, he's in there. I mean, you have to put all these players in there. The Paul Skeens, Julio Rodriguez versus Cal Raleigh, Victor Wembanyama. I mean, to me, for the last 5 years, I could have added Kyle Lewis with the Mariners as well, but I didn't want to because he was injured, you know. But the thing is the irony for these players, for their cards, for the sports card market. It's there. It's so strong, the irony, that I don't even know what to say at this point, you know. Anyway, if you have any different ideas on this subject, leave some comments. Thank you to all of my recent subscribers and my subscriber base in general. You're the ones keeping the channel going. I always like to remind you of that. So thank you again. And thank you to my viewers. If you haven't subscribed yet as a viewer, please subscribe. It's 100% free, and I can continue to improve the channel. And I won't have to work, you know, forever doing free community service for Google and YouTube. Anyway, hope you have a great day. I'm out of here. Bye.